Let the drum beat go like this. Game over.
What is up, Coastal Stars family? We got a great show lined up for you today, as we're going to get into some performance recaps. We're also going to be talking about pitchability. What does it take to be a good pitcher in today? Also, going to get into some recruiting red flags. You heard about the dating red flags. We're going to talk about recruiting. And then finally, get into some all-star weekend. Before we get into today's show, we want to recognize our top leaders in profit. Starting with number 10, Caden Hogan. Number 9, Quentin Peterson. Number 8, Janoris Reeves. And number 7, Jackson Thompson. At number 6, Brooks Carter. At number 5, Jonathan Turner. At number 4, Jonathan Jarvis. At number 3, Connor Bryce. At number 2, Cam Wilder. And rounding out the top spot, we have Brody Rogerson. Ladies and gentlemen, like for the algorithm, because the stars are hot. What is up?
What's up, everybody? We're back, Josh.
We are so back.
Before we get into anything else, tell the people, what is profit?
Well, actually, I botched that. That was actually carry rating.
That was the carry
But
rating.
we are going to talk about profit. But I can tell them what it is really quickly. So profit is actually basically your return on field, like the return of like what you produce on the field. I forget that it actually has an acronym with it.
Yeah. It's player return on field impact total.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's really hard to remember, even though I created it. But I wanted something to, have the dollar sign, and because it's also a play on my last name, which I think is super cool. But it's basically, to sum it up, it is the total impact that a player brings on the field, and that includes power, That includes getting on base and just overall just what they bring as a hitter, of course, to your lineup. And that's how they're ranked. So carry rating is a big one because it's more of like a raw like score. Like, okay, we can quickly see like this is a guy who is playing at a good level. This is a guy who's playing at a mediocre level. But profit takes that and then it, from at bat to at bat, you accumulate it. Much like WAR in baseball.
Right,
and so
right.
it really shows like who is, even though somebody may have a slightly higher carry, well, did they do it over as many at bats, right? Well, if they didn't, then they're not going to have as high of a carry as somebody who's in a similar ballpark with more ABs because, they're justly having a little bit better of a season.
That's right. Yeah. And so all the stuff that we flash on the screen there that Josh flashes on the screen is based on the results and the outcomes of the at-bats of our guys. So, Josh, I don't know. I know we posted it at All-Star Weekend or not All-Star Weekend, but at Scout Day. But we need we'll probably resend out for all the guys here. Now's a good time to do it. We'll send out all the stats again. I know somebody was asking in group. We hadn't gotten to do that yet.
Yes. So, if you want stats, hit me up afterwards. I know Jaden Daniels messaged me yesterday. Haven't had a chance to get back to him, but I will be, up sending out stats to whoever has DM'd me because I just recently got the whole database up to date with that last game that y'all played yesterday. So, cool. We do have a couple of comments. Let's dive into it really quickly. We have Quentin Peterson saying, "What shirt is that, Coach Justin?" I guess we'll
talk about that later.
Yeah, I guess we'll talk about that a little bit later. Maybe
good question though.
Maybe some new coaching shirts or something. I don't know. Let's see. We got Big Q. I think that this is Big Q. I'm pretty sure because this is the purple. Yeah. He says, "Nice hat." So yeah, these are our coaching hats that we both have on.
Right.
We like the trucker style hats. Like generally, we give all the coaches like one of the player hats and then also one of these, and almost nobody wears the player
Everybody
hats.
wears this one. It's just better.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's easier on the head.
Yeah,
It's more
especially when
believable
you're out there, all day. Definitely for sure. So yeah, we got an exciting show lined up for you guys. We're gonna get into some updates. Let's go into it now. So we got some updates. The latest on the Coastal Stars. A lot of really, really cool things that are happening here. We have. Let's see if I can pull this up really quickly. Yeah, look at this.
Boom.
What we got here. We got our guys.
Yeah, we got some guys doing some stuff. Off weekend for the 17, you guys. That's Hewitt, Jackson Thompson, and Janaris Reeves, top 100. I think that was at Marietta High School. Hewitt's dad sent me that. So I thought that was cool. Said they had a lot of college coaches there. So that's awesome. And those are our 17, you guys, getting out, doing some extra stuff. That's what it takes. Love to see it.
Yeah, great stuff there. And then let me see. Oh, wrong button. There we go. What do we have here?
Oh yeah, Landon Williams, one of our guys from last fall, right?
Yes, last fall.
With us. And do we have some more pictures too from these guys?
Oh yeah, we got them all.
Yeah, so some of the private school stuff came out later. So Landon Williams, all region honorable mention. Shout out to him. Coastal Stars family guy. Let's see if Josh can.
Yeah, we got the next guy, Gray McLean.
That's right. And Gray. I said Glay. Gray was the Class A Region 6A Player of the Year. So he did some cool stuff. I think he hit over 400. His stats on the season were pretty sick. So shout out to Gray. Gray, if you're in the chat, let me know.
He just does it. He just does it all year round. He does it for us. Goes to his school and just kills it. So you gotta love that. Mad respect. And then our last guy, Jonathan Rutland, who he's shown swinging there, but I think he's going to school to pitch. Correct?
I don't know what they've got planned for him. But man, Burton Parker, I believe, is where he's going.
Right. Yes.
And I don't know. He might, if he continues to hit well. I mean, obviously he was Region 6 all region. I don't know. Does it have the position listed? I mean, I know he's a good pitcher, and that's probably his strongest thing. But
yeah, they have him hitting and pitching, and kind of the defensive stance. So
right.
I guess he's getting recognized for both some way.
Could be, but yeah. So those guys put out some cool stuff, those graphics. So we took those, wanted to highlight some of those guys. And then Q attended the Athens Summer ID PBR Showcase. And surprise, top of the leaderboard.
Yeah,
So,
99 exit velo. Hey, we got to get you in the weight room, get that bumped up one.
yeah, we need triple digits, Q. Come
Yeah,
on, that's
that would be
bro.
awesome. But yeah, great job, Q, having the highest exit velo at the it was a showcase. Yeah, at the showcase. So we love it when our guys do great. Shout out to Gray McLean saying CCA on top.
What up, Gray? Good to see you in the chat,
what up,
pal.
Gray? How you doing, man? But yeah, let's see if I got any more updates here. I don't. I think that wraps it up for right now. We'll get into that All-Star Weekend bit in a little while. So yeah, tell us about what we got coming down the pike here with some more of the updates that we have to do.
Yeah, so fall stuff is wide open, as everybody's probably already seen. Fall registrations are happening. I think I had two people register today, so spots are filling fast. We've got tryouts coming up in August 2nd, 3rd, and 10th is what you guys may have seen on some of the stuff we're putting out. But the fall registration is open, so if you want to play, you better let us know ASAP. So those spots are going to fill up, and don't be tardy to the party.
Yeah, please don't. But yeah, so we got that. We got some guys that are just wondering what that shirt you have on is. So,
ooh, what is the shirt? Who's that? Finn Hawk?
That's Finn Hawk. I mean, we need some guesses on what these shirts are.
Yeah.
I mean,
these are the new coaching shirts.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Maybe.
We'll
Let's see. I want to see some people comment in the chat.
Yeah. What do we got? What do we got?
Guys think these
what do you guys think these are? But yeah, so we're gonna proceed on. Y'all let us know what y'all think they are down in the chat. So let's get into a little bit of a recap. So we had 2 different tournaments go on this weekend. We had the 15U at the National Championship. We had the 16U Select and the 17U Select playing in PG Central, Georgia again. And so we just want to recognize some of our guys. Now, before we do that, though, we talked about Profit a little bit earlier. And I think it's time that we, go ahead and dive in to the top rankings.
Well, let's talk about his history over the summer. So I think it was Connor Price, right, for a while.
Oh, and it was Jonathan Turner. Price never got that top spot.
Really? Okay, so yeah. Jonathan Turner.
It was Jonathan Turner. I think maybe Christian Hewitt.
Okay.
At one point.
Yeah.
And then Cam Wilder.
Cam Wilder had it.
Mm-hmm.
Brooks Carter has been knocking on the door. Now, I did have to make a slight adjustment to how Profit was calculated. So Brooks Carter is actually number 1 until some people played this weekend. So it's Brooks Carter was number 1, and Cam Wilder was number 2. And they're like right there. But let's just go ahead and reveal the Profit. Okay, I don't have it synced up. So we'll just you have the stats pulled up? I do. Our number 1 hitter, according to our data that we have collected thus far this summer, is none other than Mr. Brody Rogerson.
Yes.
Guy on my team. I'll give you guys some numbers. He's hitting .524, quality at bat percentage 71.43% of the time, 108 for his carry. And then we'll get into some of the other numbers later. His profit's $122.18 right now.
Yes.
And another thing I wanted to highlight for Brody is in 34 plate appearances, guess how many times he struck out?
Once.
0.
He has 0 Ks?
I have him listed as 0 strikeouts.
No, that's insane. You know what?
He's got 13 walks.
But that's insane because we talk about, carry rating. And one of the things that drops your carry rating significantly, it's the only thing that can send you into a negative carry is striking out because you have to put the ball in play in order to be effective, especially in summer baseball. And so, yeah, for him to not have any Ks, that is exactly why he's over 100% carry. Now, the record for carry is actually Gray McLean, who we just recently shouted out, who had a 99 last summer. And so nobody's ever, even Parker Landrum, nobody's ever put together a season where they are 100. So, and Brody only has one more event, which is All-Star Weekend. Mm-hmm. And so it's looking like he he can pull it off. So shout out to Brody.
Yeah, and it could be even higher too because they had to miss a couple of some of the games.
Exactly.
Early on,
So his profit could be higher. His carry rating could be slightly higher too.
Yeah. Shout out to Brody. He had another great weekend. And it's really interesting too. A lot of this stuff is tying together. Brody, I don't know if you're listening. Hop in the chat if you are, because we got some stuff that I think really applies to you. Because there was a moment in time where he was getting really frustrated because he wasn't getting any fastballs. And he's in my 3-hole because he's the guy on my team.
And he's a bigger guy.
Yeah, he's
and
a
they
bigger
see
guy.
him, it's
he's
like,
got good bat speed. Yeah,
we're gonna flip it.
Right. At the higher level, surprise, surprise, you're not getting heaters.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've got a video we're going to talk about here later about a little bit about that, about pitchability and understanding what pitchers are trying to do. And so that's very interesting, and that's going to be something that Brody can learn from for sure. But yeah, he did a great job this weekend as well. So he had some really good at-bats, and we'll talk about some more guys on my team. But yeah, a lot of good stuff. Shout out to Brody for taking the number 1 spot. His dad said he is watching. Cool.
Awesome.
So we got him watching.
No, I love it. Hey, we have some wild cards from this weekend that we will reveal directly after this segment. Y'all let us know who y'all think the wild cards are. There are 3. But before we get into that, let's start talking about some guys from this weekend. I know since we're on Brody, I know you said he hit one like off of the fence this weekend.
He did. It was a single.
It was a single.
I think
unbelievable.
he tripped over first base. So we won't spend a lot of time
Okay, yeah.
talking
So,
about that.
hey, but it shows the power is there. And that's exactly why he has some of the numbers that he has. So let's get into some of the players that we want to talk about. We just talked about Brody there. Let's see. That is not. Okay, there we go. New buttons. All right, so we're going to talk about Logan Wilcher.
Yeah. So Logan, I don't know if Logan's watching the podcast. Logan, if you are, let us know. But yeah, Logan did a great job for me, and Logan's a player too. And I talked to my team about this. He was a guy who's been with us over a year now, I think, or maybe right at a year. And when he first came in, he was undersized. He was, a second base type guy, wasn't really quick enough to be a good outfielder. And I was trying to find ways to plug him in. He certainly wasn't a superstar. And by golly, this year, I mean, right now he's the second ranked hitter on my team, according to Profilytics. And just did a fantastic job in the box. He's stealing bases. He laid out yesterday in left field, made a really great catch. He can play infield. He can play outfield. He's been throwing strikes. He's kind of been doing it all. He's kind of been like one of the guys who's been like the glue holding my team together. So shout out to Logan. He played really well this past week in the tournament. And yesterday he went in the leadoff spot, had him in the leadoff spot. 3 for 3 on quality at bats, 3 walks, and I bet he saw 20 pitches.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
At-bats.
So you're just getting in there scrapping.
Just grinding out.
And I think that was his first time in the leadoff spot, wasn't it?
Yeah,
because when I got your stat sheet, I was like, oh, Wilcher in the leadoff. I like that move.
Yeah. Almost, he's got like 40 plate appearances. Another guy with only 2 strikeouts.
Wow.
And you want to be putting up good numbers and be in the top of the lineup. Those are the 2 guys, Brody and Logan, on my team who've done a great job. And I think another guy too is Michael Bailey. I don't know if we have his picture on or not, but
I believe we may have him. I'm not sure.
He's the 3rd ranked guy on my team offensively, so he's done a great job too.
The next guy we got is Easton Daniel, though.
I'll let you talk about Easton.
Yeah, so Easton was an absolute animal this weekend. Played in 7 games. He played, so Coach Parks and I team were playing in the PG Central Georgia this weekend, much like everybody did last weekend. So everybody knows 4 games now. We didn't get to play 4 games last weekend because of rain, except maybe Cal's team. But this weekend, beautiful weather, got all 4 games in, and Easton was playing, for both teams to the point where he was like, we gave him a game break, and in my last game of yesterday, he was like, or 2 days ago, he was like, I need a break. I was like, I get it, man. But he just got in the box. He scrapped. I think he's leading the whole program in walks now, because I think
I could take a look at that.
Yeah, go to the leaders. I'm absolutely.
He is.
Yeah, he has like 16, doesn't he?
He's got 14.
14, yeah. And he walked probably like 5 or 6 times this week, all on 3-2 counts. Fouled off pitches, taking pitches that are even borderline, just good good pitches executed by the pitcher, but he's like, no, I'm laying off the junk there. So yeah, he did a great job. Played a good shortstop, solid all weekend. And so shout out to Easton making it on the recognizable players. We had Mr. Hugh Harris as well, gave a great outing. He went 5 innings strong. It was either 5 1/3 I think it was 5 1/3. Got one out there. And then, just ran out of gas. Third time through the lineup, they started hitting him a little bit. And so then we had to move on. But he was a key contributor to why Hunter Jordan was able to come and hit a walk-off later in that game. And there's your guy, Michael Bailey.
Yeah, there's Michael Bailey. Shout out to Michael. He's been doing a great job. And this past weekend, I put him on the highlight list because he pitched a complete game at Lake Point, 7 innings.
That's incredible.
And I think it was 70 pitches. And obviously, a lot of credit goes to the defense. We played some good defense behind him. I think we had a couple of double plays that helped a lot. But dude gets on the mound and in the batter's box. He's been competing. That's why he's, I think, top 3 on my team, like I already mentioned, offensively, and he's been pitching extremely well. And we'll talk about this in one of the other segments, but how he pitched and how he's been pitching, and the best pitchers on my team, they have some things in common. So we'll talk about that here in a few minutes. But shout out to Michael. You did a great job this week, dude.
No, I love it. And then we have Mr. Keaton Teal, another one of your guys.
Absolutely. Similar story, different player. Keaton, game 1 of the national championship, we ended up beating a team 8-5, and he went 5 innings on about 75 to 80 pitches, struck out 3 or 4, and he gave up, I think just 3 runs against a pretty solid offensive team. Picking people off, he understands how to hold runners, and that's an area that the best pitchers in our program thrive in, right? We've seen it time and time again. We pick a lot of guys off, and the guys that understand how to pitch do a really good job of that, and we'll talk about more about Keaton and Michael here in a few minutes and why they're so effective.
Absolutely. And then our last guy, I believe, is Mr. Hunter Jordan, who this guy, we had a scary moment earlier where he put in the group, he was like, hey, was in a car accident, and thank God he was safe. And he still was brave enough to, come out and play some baseball, even though he was still a little banged up. He said he was a little sore. And he got in the box and just competed all day, and he got the opportunity. Guy on second and third, he's down 1-2, and we are down 4-3, I believe. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're down 4-3. Down in the hole, 1-2 count, and laces the ball backside in the gap, scores both of them. Stars win 5-3. Shout out to Hunter Jordan for just being an absolute dog.
Love it.
And especially having a good 2-strike approach, taking that ball backside, and he scorched it too. And so, shout out to Hunter Jordan for that. I think that concludes all of my guys. Let me make sure.
I got a couple more guys I wanted to shout out.
Yes, who you got?
We had Michael Knutson had a big hit in our last game that took the lead for us late in the game. Mm-hmm. 2-out single, very similar to what you just described, a base hit to right center field. So that was sweet. Hudson Starley's having some really good ABs for me too. You saw him kind of climbing the lineup a little bit this past weekend. So shout out to Huddy. He's been doing a good job. Dustin Pass, bats coming around. I think he had 3 hits on the weekend. And a couple of balls hit hard. So he was a guy who's been struggling offensively a little bit. And, I keep encouraging him, keep encouraging him. Just got to swing. You just got to swing. And the theme for some of these guys is they were just taking too many fastballs.
Yeah.
And so that was where we he's coming out of that. And so that's awesome to see. Jacob Wellborn had a pretty good offensive weekend as well. Made some good plays in right field for me. And he hit a big double in the first game we played. So yeah, a lot of the guys on my team, we didn't talk about the team overall. Mm-hmm. Played really competitive baseball all weekend. We ended up losing 3 games by 1 run. And against teams from South Carolina, North Carolina, Louisiana, we played a team from Kentucky,
Right, yeah.
It's no joke national championship. And so they came from everywhere. And we won a game and lost 3 by 1 run. So we were so close, man.
No, yeah,
we played really well, so I was proud of the boys.
I love it. No, and those national championships, you're seeing the best of the best. And like you said, everybody's coming in from all over. So to be that competitive in that environment is a testament to, all the hard work, because, you your first couple tournaments up there at PBR, even with more local tournaments, didn't go as well. But that just shows the growth that these guys have had throughout the summer to be in a position to where you're going back up to PBR, where you've had some struggles and you're able to compete at a high level. So now shout out to 28 Premier on a solid weekend
Very
of baseball.
solid.
But
Yeah.
yes, going off, you said, some of your guys made the adjustment of, going from taking too many pitches to being more aggressive early in the count. And Quentin Peterson had a good comment saying the best way to hit a curveball is not to miss the fastball.
True that. We've said it before. We'll say it again. But yeah, a lot of those guys did well. So perfect segue into our next segment. We're going to be talking about pitchability. And this video we're about to play, Trent's calling us. You want to answer it?
Yeah, I'll answer it.
Tell him he's live.
Hey, what's up, man?
Coach Trent has called.
Yeah, you're alive, buddy. Yeah.
Hi,
What's
guys.
up?
Go Coastal Stars, get better, get seen. I hope Will Gates is watching and maybe Bo Greer. Have a great night.
Okay, I'll call you back later.
Bye.
All right, man.
Yeah, we got a few more guys in the
Classic.
chat. What up,
I love
Dutch?
it.
Finn Hawk wants to shout out Hogan's plays this weekend.
Yes.
Can you talk about that? How's my guy Hogan doing? I know he's
Hogan was a guy. And he's a guy we've talked about because he's been really good with the bat, drawing walks, getting on base by any means necessary. Got hit again this past weekend. But he had several good defensive plays as well out in the field. And he's, not one of the guys that you think of like, oh, you're one of my better defenders. Let me just, I need you out in the field all the time. But he got an opportunity, especially with Easton Daniel playing a lot for the other team, to play more second base, and he made some really good plays out there. So, and shout out to his teammate Finn Hawk, bigging him up. We love to see that.
good stuff, man. Atta boy.
Yep.
Shout your guys out. Yeah, if we miss somebody out, y'all let us know in the comments. We want to see it. We want to talk about them. We want to highlight our guys. Also, a challenge real quick for everybody watching. There's 23. It's been up to like 27 of you guys watching. Send this to somebody on your team. Go ahead and just send the link to them. Let's get it up to 40. If we get it up to 40, I'll tell you guys about the shirt I'm wearing. How about that? How does that sound? Is that fair, Josh?
No, that sounds good. That's a good little challenge.
Let's get it up to 40. I know there's a lot of people watching or should be watching that probably aren't. Maybe some guys forgot that we're live right now, but let's get this out so more guys are watching.
I love it. Okay. I think it's time to get into our next segment, pitchability. So we talk about it all the time. What does it take to be a good pitcher, right? We always talk about commanding the zone. We always talk about, hey, you got to throw strikes. But at the end of the day, throwing strikes is like the floor. That's the base level. Like before we can put you on the mound, got to be able to throw strikes. But what does it take to actually become a good, crafty pitcher to where you are, able to compete even at the highest level? I thought this video did a really good job of explaining just how to be a good pitcher. It is why MLB pitchers are throwing fewer fastballs than ever. This is by a channel called Simple Sabermetrics. If you want to go check out his channel, drop some really good stuff backed by the data.
Pitcher are throwing fewer fastballs than ever. And here's the wild part. It still might be too many. In a game obsessed with velocity, the one pitch most associated with power, the fastball, is being phased out in favor of sliders, changeups, and sweepers. Why? Because the data says hitters are crushing fastballs more than ever before. Today, we'll break down why fastball usage is in freefall, what the numbers say about whiff rates in WOBA, how off-speed pitches are dominating the strike zone, and why modern pitchers might want to throw even fewer heaters. In the early 2000s, fastballs made up over 65% of all pitches. By 2020, that dropped to 50%. In 2025, for the first time ever, MLB is seeing fastballs thrown less than 45% of the time. That includes four-seamers, sinkers, and cutters. With all of the rage around developing velocity, it is almost more important for today's pitchers to develop stuff. Pitchers aren't just throwing harder, they're throwing smarter. The reason for this change? It's simple. Hitters have adjusted. In 2024, the xWOBA, or expected weighted on-base average, on fastballs was 375 on four-seamers, 392 on sinkers, compared to 276 on sliders and 250 on changeups.
So yeah, just I'll pause it right there so we can just give a little commentary. What do you think about that data that is being presented so far?
It's kind of shocking.
It really is.
It really is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, everybody for the history of baseball has always known, like, hey, you got to be able to command the fastball.
Mhm.
And that's what he's talking about. It used to be 60, 65% fastballs, and the rest was off speed, right? And now what we're seeing in the big leagues is 45% fastballs, the lowest it's ever been. And the reason for that is hitters have gotten so good at hitting fastballs. And now, granted, our players still need to get good at hitting fastballs.
Oh, obviously, yes.
There's guys who still struggle with that, but then we've got guys like Brody Rogerson, right, who's been punishing fastballs, and so what does he get?
You're going to get curveballs.
He gets the other stuff, and that's why this kind of ties into everything, right?
Yeah.
So that's why we're talking about this stuff.
And there's also nothing wrong because, like, obviously we're going to preach, hit the fastball because, 90% of the time a guy's going to throw you outside fastball in high school. Even in college, most of the time you're going to get outside fastball.
Yeah.
But if you're one of those guys who they're like, oh no, like, you're in that 3-4 hole and they're probably, and you have a big presence, you're more than likely going to get flipped some curveballs, especially strike one, because, a lot, that's the spots and the positions in the lineups that people like to pitch backwards. And so knowing that, Brody, and, anybody who's like Brody, you can go up there and sit on a curveball every now and then. Just sit on curveball. And if he hangs one, then you have free reign to just unleash on it. Because if you know something's coming and you're sitting on it, like, why not? Take a good swing at it. And that curveball it's not off speed anymore because you're sitting on it.
Yeah.
And so you can do some damage that way. Yeah. And so that's just kind of the game within the game, understanding who you are. Another thing was, like, if you go up there and you lace a fastball for like a double or even a single and you hit it hard, your first at bat, a lot of times, especially if a guy, has shown that he's got the ability to throw his curveball or his changeup for a strike, a lot of times that's what they're starting you off with the next time, just by default. And so if you have that understanding and you start thinking in that way, then you can start just stealing hits, a lot more hits because you're like one step ahead of the other team and how they're strategizing against you.
Yeah, for sure. And there's definitely like some special things to note on this same topic. Like you said, 90% of the time, and I had to scream this at my dugout this past weekend, it's because my guys knew what was coming and they still went up there and watched it, right?
Right.
I said fastball away, fastball away, fastball away. It was the bottom third of our lineup. And we're facing a pitcher who's got some pretty good velo. And he's just throwing fastball after fastball. And so there's certain hitters that they shouldn't walk up there and be like, "Oh, I'm going to get a curveball." Right? It's not smart for them to do it. So there's definitely some things to keep in mind as we talk about this topic. But and as another thing to keep in mind is we're not big leaguers. Like we're 15 and 16 and 17.
Right.
So we're not getting the nasty sweepers that Shohei's throwing, right? But all those things kind of tie into having a better understanding for the game and for your offensive approach. And another thing too is I don't want to give away all of our secrets, but we have some systems in place so that our hitters know what's coming, right? And so even then, like sometimes our guys go up there and they still don't have the approach they need, especially when they know what's coming. So yeah,
that mental approach is everything in hitting because like you can have a good swing. Then a lot of our guys have really good swings, and the only thing that's separating them from being like really, really great players is that mental approach in the box, understanding what they're trying to accomplish, hunting the right pitches in the right counts or in the right situations. And that's what we're trying to stress to you here. But let's dive a little bit deeper into this.
Here's train on velocity now. High fastballs, they're cheating up in launching. Ask any hitter you know what their favorite pitch to hit is. I'd say 90% or more will describe a flat fastball to a specific area of the zone. So pitchers have begun to adjust. Just thinking logically, it makes sense to throw the pitch that hitters like to hit less. Even fastballs at 98 miles per hour or above are being timed up nowadays, especially if they're flat or poorly located. It's also not just that fastballs are getting hit, it's that off-speed and breaking balls are dominating. Whiff rates on sweepers and sliders are up to 30 to 45% in some cases. Changeups are generating more ground balls in weak contact than ever before, and off-speed pitches are even being used in fastball counts and still getting strikes. Today's elite arms are throwing sliders in 2-0 counts, changeup as first pitches, and curveballs in put-away counts. Why? Because deception beats velocity, and we have the numbers to back that up. No pitch has symbolized this shift more than the sweeper, a horizontal heavy slider with massive glove side movement. It has become the go-to secondary pitch for strikeouts, swings and misses, leading most statistical categories when sorted by pitch type. Pitchers like Paul Skeens, Blake Snell, and Shohei Ohtani, once he returns to the mound, have used it to reshape their arsenals. Some pitchers now throw sweepers more often than four-seamers, a radical change from just a few years ago. But
Yeah, what do you think about that? Some pitchers are throwing sweepers more than their four-seam fastball.
Yeah, I mean, when you watch big league games, it makes sense, right? And obviously, like we already established, we're not in the big leagues, and so that's not the case for us. However, this is where the tie-in for the pitchers in our program that are so successful, this is the tie-in. The names for me that come to mind are Aiden Smith's been pretty good. He's had his moments. Keaton Teal over the weekend, really good. He pitched 2 games and really good. Michael Bailey did the exact same thing, really good. And one of the things, and Finn Hawk, he's in the comments, another guy who comes to mind.
No, he did. He pitched for me this weekend, did a really good job.
Yeah, and he just commented, and he said, I love to pitch backwards. And that's kind of the tie-in, and that's why some of these guys have been so successful for us lately, is not because they throw 90 or because they're throwing 88 by people, right? It's because they have feel for multiple pitches.
Right.
And they're able to flip the curveball or throw the 2-0 changeup and get hitters off balance. And like the video said, it said velocity is not as effective as deception.
Exactly.
And so that's what we're talking about. And that's why the tie-in was perfect, because Keaton and Michael both threw great for me this past week, and both of them had good feel for their off-speed pitches, and Keaton was throwing fastball, curveball, and changeup, and all 3 of them were around the strike zone.
Yeah.
And so that's why he did so great.
Another guy that this reminds me of is Bo Greer. He's having a really good summer. Threw well this week. Just he was super unlucky. He got like 3 dink, or maybe even 4 dink hits off of him late in the game. But he had 2 outings. His first outing did really well. And so he's a guy who primarily throws knuckleballs. He's throwing knuckleballs and then, dotting his fastball. And when he's really, really on, like he had the no-hit outing, last weekend where he went 4 strong, and he was just keeping people off balance, right? They had no clue what was coming, because they're like, oh, knuckleball. And they're like, okay, what do I sit on? Do I sit on knuckleball? He'd maybe flip a little curveball up there. And so it's the deception that makes you a good pitcher, right? When you're able to keep hitters off balance and move, different pitches around the zone, right? And so it's not necessarily fastball. You need to have good command of your fastball, because everything works off the fastball. But you also have to have the ability to, keep hitters off balance as well.
Yeah, good stuff.
Fastball usage be even lower? Possibly. Here's what teams are realizing. If hitters are expecting velo, they're vulnerable to movement. If you can land breaking balls and changeups for strikes, you don't need to establish the fastball. And if your fastball isn't elite, it's often a liability. Smart teams like the Rays, Dodgers, and Guardians are now prioritizing arms with elite secondary pitches, pitchers with command of 3 off-speed offerings, and view velocity as a bonus, not a necessity. In today's age, it is...
Yeah, now that's super interesting stuff there, where they're viewing velocity as a bonus, right? Because what do you hear on social media, on Twitter? What is everybody selling? All the programs is like velo, gain 10 miles per hour, which is good, right? But if you want to be an effective pitcher, because the reality is, a lot of our guys aren't going to end up throwing 90 to 100 miles per hour, right? But they can still be really good college baseball players, but they're going to or college pitchers specifically, but they're going to have the ability to, command different off-speed pitchers.
Yeah, exactly.
The pitcher of the year, my senior year, went to Columbus State, and the guy like barely touched 80, but he was nasty. He went like almost I think he led the Peach Belt in complete games, and he had a crazy changeup, and he had a really sharp breaking ball, and he just mowed down hitters, just deceiving them, just keeping them off balance. And I think he went like 8 and 2/3 against us while we were at Columbus State, and we had to like throw in the towel. It was crazy. And we were like, how are we not hitting this guy? Like he's throwing like 79, 80. But that just goes to show you that, hey, yeah, you might not be a velo guy, but if pitching's your strong suit, if that's the best asset that you bring to the field, well, learn how to, move everything around. I think somebody said, Quentin said, study Greg Maddux, who was, that's somebody great. He could dot a fastball anywhere, but he wasn't the hardest thrower. So he could put any pitch anywhere he wanted. That was like his big MO. So I think that's all we're going to cover, because I think I think everybody gets the gist of what we're getting at. But what else do you have to add that goes along with this topic?
Yeah, I like the last thing they said. They said if you don't have the plus velo, sometimes your fastball is a liability. And what that means is your batting practice. So if you can't get a curveball in the strike zone or throw a changeup that looks like your fastball, good luck, man. So that's a big thing too. But like we already said a few times, understand that this is an advanced thing. And some of our guys, they just need to learn how to throw strikes, period.
Right.
Before they're worried about like, hey, like how do I make my slider look more like my fastball? How do I tunnel my slider? Like,
right.
A lot of guys aren't ready for that. Some of you guys just need to figure out how to throw strikes and be more consistent with your mechanics and your body control. And also just general athleticism, moving faster, being a little bit more explosive, getting in the weight room, all those sorts of things. But this is advanced stuff. So very cool. I thought it applied to some of our guys who have been pitching well lately. And so it was a great topic tonight.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, we talked about, let's get into, we had some comments regarding this. So let's get into that really quick. We had Jason saying the secret to every good pitcher is a good catcher. Yeah, if you have a guy back there who can, steal strikes, that's one aspect, but also can, help the pitcher, right? Calm him down, go out and take mound visits with them so that the coach doesn't always have to come out and you have to burn that. If you had a guy who's back there who can, conduct a game, it goes a long way, especially like one example again is Bo Greer. Bo Greer is like, hey, if JT Barkley's back there, like I'm good. And that's when he had his no-hit outing last week.
Right.
And JT's, probably the best defensive catcher that we have back there. And so, yeah, that's a very good comment, Jason. Thank you. And then that was Quentin saying study Greg Maddux, saying also that he is alma mater of Columbus State. So shout out to him. And Finn saying I love pitching backwards. So yeah, let's go ahead and move forward in our program. Before we get to recruiting red flags, let's open some cards. I don't think we got any comments as far as who they thought the wild cards for this week are, but let's go ahead and open up a pack.
Game begin.
All right, the first card is Michael Bailey going 7 innings.
It does say Bo Greer on there, but we'll fix that.
I forgot to change the name. That's Michael Bailey, not Bo Greer.
Yeah, we'll fix that.
Yeah, Bo Greer always just finds his way into the podcast. All right, second guy that we got, Mr. Keaton Teal. He had 2 solid outings. This is from his first one, right?
Yep.
4 innings, 3 Ks, 1 earned run. Shout out to him. Last guy, Hunter Jordan. 2 RBI walk-off double in a 1-2 count. So
Love to see it.
that is your cards of the week, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to all of our players who earned their wild card for this week. We do have premium packs based on stats. We'll go through the packs that released last week. Towards the end, we'll just run through them, so you'll see if you had a card made, and then we'll have to release the new ones maybe later this week once everything is finalized. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into some recruiting red flags. And so, recruiting is a big thing. This is why we do it. Get better, get seen. But
there's some red flags.
There are some red flags. There's some things that you shouldn't do.
Yeah, and that's why we made this. That's why I spent a lot of time putting stuff like this together for our guys. And Scout Day is a big one, obviously. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about showcases and college camps later in this show. But we also have these national championship tournaments going on. And this is one of those times when college coaches are looking for guys. They're on the hunt. I'm going to have rosters. I'm going to be handing out rosters and players. You guys that are listening right now, make sure you take note of these things, okay? Because if you want to get the attention of a college coach, there's things you need to do and there's things that you can't afford to do. And so I've got 20 things that are red flags for college coaches. And we've got a list. Josh?
Yeah, I am pulling it up. You emailed it to me, right?
I think so. I did.
All right, let me pull it up. So
yeah, and now is a great time to do it because the 16 guys, the 17 guys, they're getting ready for some big opportunities to possibly impress some coaches. And even if you're a guy who's not playing, then these are still things that you can take with you for your next tournament or for the fall scout day or the rest of your baseball career. But these are our recruiting red flags. All right, so we'll go down the list real quick. We have it broken down, I think, into 3 different categories.
Yep, on field, off field, and other.
Yep. So we'll start with the on-field stuff. You want to alternate? I'll take the first one.
Let's do it.
Obviously, we've talked about it on the podcast before. The 2 things you can always control is your effort and your attitude. And lack of hustle, walking on and off the field, not running out ground balls, loafing, etc. That's an easy way to get your name crossed off the list. And quick story, when I was with the Angels a few years ago, every time we ran to first base, we had a coach in my dugout whose job was to write down the time and send it to our minor league GM. Because the minor league operations guys, the guys who are seeing who's going to play in the big leagues, they need to know what guys are consistently busting their tail down the first baseline. Mm-hmm. Every single time you put the ball in play, you hit a ground ball to the pitcher, they don't care. They're timing it, they write it down, they send it off. Yeah. After every single game. You don't think it matters? Why do college coaches always have a stopwatch in their hand? Why do I as a coach always have a stopwatch in my hand? That's why. Sorry. Yeah. All right, we'll take forever if we take that much time on it.
But I also think it speaks to like character as well. It's like, is this guy like what type of person is he? Like, does he give the same effort when things are going well versus when he's facing a little bit of adversity and failure? Second thing, poor body language. So like eye rolling, slamming helmets, showing up teammates, or blaming others. Like the best thing that you can do is to own up to your mistakes, take accountability, and always show professionalism. Had to have a heart to heart with Parks' team this week because we just had a little bit of some body language issues going on, and I said, hey, like guys, like college coaches, they take notice. Like they don't care how good you are. There's somebody out there that's just as good as you that is going to conduct themselves in a professional manner if you don't. And so always have that leg up.
Yeah, for sure. Or maybe they're a better teammate than you are.
Exactly.
Blaming others. That's a huge one. We call that TOB, transfer of blame, when you're just not able to take accountability for your mistakes.
Right.
I screw up all the time as a coach, and one of the things I have to do is be like, hey, that's on me.
Right.
I shouldn't have done that. Speaking of that, real quick, shout out to my guy Brady Stevers. Josh, I don't think I told you this yet. Game 2. Mm-hmm. First inning, we're in a tough spot. They got bases loaded with 1 out. Deep fly ball to center field. And Brady backs up a step or 2, and I'm like, he's not throwing him out of the plate. So I'm going 3, throw it to 3. Brady Stevers catches it, throws it home on a dime. I'm talking about laser.
Just unleashed it.
Catch, tag, out at home plate. I was like,
that's unbelievable.
That's incredible. I mean, obviously, I was like, I'm glad you didn't listen to me. That's on me. That's my bad. Yeah. Next time you throw it wherever you want to, buddy.
Right.
So shout out to him. That play was incredible. yeah, so owning up to your mistakes. I messed up on that one, and I was like, you were right, I was wrong. So you have to be able to do that as a player, and obviously as you become an adult, like you have to own up to your mistakes.
Right.
It's a big
Absolutely.
next one's being selfish. Pretty similar type thing, right? We're talking about being a good teammate. This one is, you know, it kind of says ignoring signs or trying to showboat or not playing within the team strategy, right? And a lot of times coaches can pick up on this. If I give a guy a bunt sign and he does this, you know, in the box, if I'm a college coach, I notice that. Like, oh, you don't want to bunt? Like, oh, okay, you're not a team guy.
Also, like if the other team's paying any attention, they can figure out, hey, something's on, right? Because as coaches, we're always looking. Like we're looking at like their coach giving signs. We're looking at if players are, you know, flashing, doing all these other things because we're trying to give our guys a leg up. And so, you know, we face some of these elite teams. They're doing the same things that we're doing. So, you know, how you control your emotions, and again, back to the body language, how you conduct yourself, it matters because you can tip. It's like poker. Like you can tip your hand if you're not careful, which leads us into low baseball IQ, mental errors, bad situational awareness, or consistently making the same mistakes. Now, if you can just clean up your mental errors, you will just become twice the player that you are from that moment, because that is what holds everybody back. It's just the ability or the lack thereof to not be able to move on to the next play, dwelling in the past, which, you know, just leads to mental errors, or just not knowing what you're going to do with the baseball before it happens. Again, stepping into the box without a plan, all those different things.
Yep. Number 5, effort. We already kind of talked about it, but playing hard only when scouts are visible or during games. One of the things I've told guys before, and we'll talk about this more in a minute, how you warm up matters. I talked to Coach Ked's team before a game. I'm like, dude, why are you guys out here stretching your groin before the game? You're just watching, you know, this game before you for 45 minutes. You could have stretched your groin then.
Right.
When
Yeah.
you get on this field, there's college coaches watching you right now. I look over and there's like 1 or 2 college coaches at Lake Point, literally standing there in between the two fields, and my guys are half of them are laying on the ground pregame. I'm like, dude, get up, play catch, start moving, showcase your hands, move your feet, be an athlete, long toss, show off your arm, get ready for ground balls so we can show the college coaches what we're doing. And so that's one too, is like you always, whether you're warming up, whether you're taking swings in the cages, whatever you're doing, it has to be done with the amount of effort that you should have when you know someone's watching, even when they're not.
Absolutely. We're on number 6, right?
Yep.
Coming unprepared, showing up to games and hitting in. Yep. I cannot stand this. Crocs, barefoot, Birkenstocks, whatever, slides, you name it. This is something that we're probably going to have to be a little more strict on, because I had to tell, you know, a couple guys, like, you know, just get out of the cage. Like you can't hit like that. Not only does it not look good, but it's not helping you either. And it's a quick way to just, you know, twist an ankle, you land wrong because you're hitting in slides, and now you can't play because you were just being stupid and hitting in the wrong gear. And so come prepared. Even had an issue this weekend where we had a catcher come without his gear, or just leave it in the truck and not come to the game. We're like, hey, you catch, make sure you bring all the gear, make sure you're prepared to, you know, play in whatever capacity that you contribute to the team. Just make sure that you come prepared.
Yep. Number 7, not being able to make adjustments. So guys that go up there and do the same thing every at bat, take the same pitches, you know, just inability to adjust. Obviously, that's a red flag.
Right. Out of shape physique is number 8, poor conditioning or body type that shows lack of commitment to training. Now, everybody has different body types and you know, different archetypes as a player. So, you know, some guys are more power, they can be bigger. If you're a corner infielder, you can be bigger, not as, you know, slight of foot. And so you have to understand what type of player you are and what your position requires of you, right? Because if you want to be, you know, a middle infielder, but you don't have the arm to be the shortstop, don't expect to play shortstop. So different things like that. Understand who you are. And if there's something that you want to be, right, then work at it, you know, get in shape. Because if you show up out of shape and then complain, like you don't have the right to complain.
Yeah, for sure. Number 9, over mechanical. And this one it can be described as overthinking too.
Okay.
The game kind of speeds up on players like this. These are the guys who get out on bases and they look like they've never run the bases before. They lack natural instincts. So that gets your name crossed off the list really quick. Having instincts in baseball is critical. And once you learn how to play the game, it comes with experience and it comes with you paying attention to the details. So make sure you guys are comfortable on the bases. That's an easy way for a coach to figure out whether or not you're a good player. Just watch how you run the bases.
Yeah, that's very true. Number 10, we're getting into the off-field category here, attitude problems. So arrogance, disrespectfulness, or unwilling to take coaching. So one of the biggest things, I had a coach one time tell me, like, one of the biggest things in baseball or just in sports in general is this word called aptitude. And it's essentially the ability to learn. And players with high aptitude are able to, again, learn from their mistakes, which we just hit on, but they're also able to, take constructive criticism and turn that into a positive thing, right? And, incorporate the things that their coaches are, telling them to implement into their game for the better, or even learn, and make adjustments on their own. Another thing that, my college coach always said is respect the game. Like, never disrespect the game. Make sure you're hustling on and off the field. And, nobody likes arrogance, right?
Yep.
Nobody wants to be around, somebody who thinks they're the best player in the world. It's just not a good breeding ground for a successful team, because the chemistry is going to be all off.
Yeah, for sure. I'll take the next two. We'll try to speed it up a little bit.
Okay.
Just because we got more stuff, we got more segments. We're trying to get through this. Parent behavior. We talked about this one in our guidelines. Parents, college coaches ask about you guys too. So keep that in mind. Number 12, social media red flags. We talked about this in our guidelines as well. Players, you got to make sure your social media is clean. First thing a college coach is going to do is check your social media, your Twitter, your Instagram, make sure nothing's inappropriate. Making sure you have a good digital presence is important. I'll go ahead and take number 13 too. Accountability. We talked about this already. You have to understand when you screw up and take accountability for that. Number 14, we say this all the time, and it happened at Scout Day. The number one question, the first question we always get is, what's their GPA? So
without hesitation,
without a doubt, that's why it's underlined. That's the only one of these that's underlined. If you don't have a 3.0, you're not getting hope. You can pretty much consider yourself not a college athlete. And then making sure the higher your GPA, the more likely you are to play. And especially it makes college more affordable. So that's a big one there too. Josh, you take the next two.
Yeah. So unreliable communication, missing calls, ghosting coaches, or being disorganized with email and text. Again, you got to show that you're a professional, because this is how you're going to communicate with them when you get on campus as well. And so if you're not responding to their texts now or emails now, or you're, not showing a real interest in wanting to be, engaged with their program, well, then why would they want you on your campus or on their campus?
Yeah. Coach Simons from Covenant mentioned this at Scout Day.
Right.
He said, when I text you guys, make sure you text me back, because a lot of times I'll be interested in a kid and then he'll ghost me. And then eventually he'll be like, man, I need to text that coach back, and never text him back.
Right.
And by that point, I've moved on. So that's one of those things where professionalism and maturing is very important.
Exactly. Chasing prestige over fit, only interested in D1 schools or big name programs without realistic self-awareness. This is probably my number one thing, is you have to go somewhere where it's a good fit for you. Not only level wise, but, a good city where you can thrive. That's kind of your pace. And so I could go on and on and on, but we're trying to get through this. So getting into the other category.
You want me? I'll just hit these real quick.
Yeah, hit them really quick.
Yeah. So we'll go to the others. Being late, you got to show up on time, obviously. Bouncing around from team to team, that's another thing too, is college coaches have asked me. And when a college coach really likes a kid, they ask me these questions. They say, what kind of teammate is he? What are his parents like? What does he do? Tell me about him in your program. And so those are some things, are they a guy who's committed to playing with us and, dependable, right? Energy or leadership presence. Obviously that's a big one. Good players are natural leaders, especially if you're like a catcher or a guy who has a leadership position on the field. And then the last one is that entitlement one there. So the best players and the best players that we like to coach are guys that are hungry for it, right? And not guys who think they already deserve it. And so that's what we'll wrap up there. There's a lot of red flags, players. If you guys are still listening, take note of those, be aware of those, and have an understanding what college coaches are looking for.
I love it. So yeah, that is the recruiting red flags. Now let's get into our final segment of the evening, and that is ASW All-Star Weekend, where the brightest stars will be on display. This is an event that we love to do, one of our favorite events of the whole entire year. It'll be at Mercer University. And, tell the people kind of the rundown of what happens at during All-Star Weekend.
Yeah, sure. You got that schedule? You want to pull it back up?
Yes.
Yep. So all teams, I've sent out some info about it already. You guys have already got the schedules. All teams play at All-Star Weekend. It's a great opportunity to get more ABs, to get more reps, to get more innings. And then one of the biggest, most fun things we do is the home run derby and the bunt derby.
Yeah.
And what happens is about 2 weeks before, maybe first week of July, maybe a week before, we're going to send out the voting information. So you guys will all get the opportunity to vote, both as players and as fans, to determine who gets to be on the all-star teams and also who gets to participate in the home run derby. And so that's what we're going to be doing all-star weekend. There's the schedule for the derbies and for the all-star game. We also have some awards we hand out. We have class MVPs, some teammate awards, most improved, a lot of good stuff to be a part of. So make sure you guys plan to be at All-Star Weekend, July 12th and 13th, at one of the best parks in the entire state.
Yeah, so absolutely.
It's going to be fun.
I know, I'm pretty sure every team has gotten an opportunity to play there. I know Parks and I got one game apiece there. So beautiful park, can't ask for much better. Good atmosphere, and we always have a load of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, now I think we can talk about these shirts that we have on. A lot of people kind of got onto it. They said, hey, I hit trio. They said, hey, these are definitely the all-star jerseys.
I'm zooming out. You guys, Coach Josh has got one on. I've got the other one on. Team Stars and Team Coastal. So something to look forward to if you guys want one of these sweet jerseys.
So yeah, Quentin Peterson was the first one that was onto it.
Yeah, he was all over it.
Michael Knutson chimed in right after. And then Michael Rogerson was he was like, yep, this definitely got to be the jerseys. Yeah, they haven't even been part of the program, but they're like, nope, I'm with.
Yeah, they were on it, man.
Yeah,
good for you guys.
They're like, I second that. So
yeah, another thing we did last summer. You want to pull up the bounty list? Do you have that? If you don't, I can just talk about it.
Yes, I can pull it up, but go ahead and start talking about it.
Yeah, so one thing we do at All-Star Weekend too is we try to give away a ton of cool stuff. We give away bats. Last year we gave away Bruce Bolt sliding mitts, Bruce Bolt batting gloves, Chipotle gift cards, you name it. So we have these gear bounties, and we want to reward the guys for playing really hard. And there's some rules. Obviously, you can see there on the screen some behavior immediately disqualifying you from gear bounties and making you forfeit your gear. Walking or slowly jogging on or off the field, not taking warm-ups, not hustling, throwing equipment, arguing with anyone, lazy mental mistakes, etc. All right, but then you go down and you can see some of the stuff we gave out last year, and I want to see what you guys want. So there's not that many people who are still tuned into the podcast, but you guys, what do you want? What do we need this summer? What kind of gear do you guys want to compete and play for? If you steal 4 bases in a game, last year we gave out sliding mitts for that. If you make a disgusting play on defense, a nasty web gym, you get some eye black or a bat grip or a pine tar stick. We gave away a lot of those. Double offender, Bruce Bolt batting gloves. We gave out Chipotle gift cards for anybody who hit like a ground rule double or a warning track fly ball. Guys that need to hit the weight room a little bit. Try to get them some extra calories. Big dog hit a homer in a game, you get a free bat. All kind of stuff. We got stuff for pitchers too. We gave out Jaeger
sword
bands.
finder.
We gave out Jaeger bands, rosin bags, all kind of stuff. So All-Star Weekend, if you guys want some free gear, come to All-Star Weekend and play good.
I'm interested to see if somebody can pull off the immaculation.
throw an immaculate inning, you get Jaeger bands and Bruce Bowl batting gloves for doing that.
That's pretty sick.
I might be altering this some. This was last year's version. It depends on what kind of gear I can get my hands on for the boys. But yeah, a lot of good stuff to come for All-Star Weekend.
Yes, I love it. I love it. So yeah, this is why we love to do it is, obviously we're here to get you better, get you seen, and we're also here to have some fun. And so that's All-Star Weekend's really a culmination of all three of those things combined, where we're still going to come, compete against each other, get some good reps in, but also we're going to have some fun. We're going to do some things like the Home Run Derby. We're going to have some live streams of the All-Star Game. We're also going to live stream the Home Run Derby. It's going to be a good time. It's also always one of the best events of the entire summer.
Yeah, and speaking of it, great segue into what I have in my hand here. This is the results of our Who's Gonna Win the Home Run Derby poll.
Okay.
From the player group me. And we got two guys tied at the top. You guys can't see my phone.
Yeah, I did.
But Jackson Thompson and Quentin Peterson both have 13 votes. So Wills Gates has 4. Shout out to my guy Wills.
Wills Gates pulling off.
I need you in the comments, pal. Come on. But yeah, no, we put some stuff out there, some fillers. So I think there's going to be some balls hit hard. I'm excited about it. And that's the players who the players think might win it. So two guys there that are obvious favorites. But real quick, we had one other question.
Yep, I got it pulled up here. It is, which is more beneficial for recruiting, going to showcase or going to a camp at a college?
Yeah, so this was a question. This is a question I get, every now and then, right? And we talk about it in our guidelines, and we talk about it all the time. Obviously, like Quentin, for example, we flashed that leaderboard up for him. He went to the PBR showcase, and he was atop of the leaderboard in the exit velo. And so that's a great thing for him to do. He got some video posted on Twitter.
Right.
We shared it. We're trying to help him get that exposure. And then on the flip side of it too is like there's players who are like, man, should I go do that, or should I go to a college campus camp in front of a coaching staff? And so that was actually a question I got from a parent today. Like, what camps do you recommend?
Now, in our poll, we had 12 guys vote. 8 said go to a college camp. 4 said go to a showcase. Nobody said, not too sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we did put that poll out there today as well. And more guys said college camp, which is interesting. And I'll answer my answer first.
Okay.
And then I'll let you back it up with whatever you want to say. But the answer for me depends on the player. And I'll explain that a little bit. So both of them have their pros and their cons. So for a showcase event, the pros are this. Potentially a lot of college coaches in one place, kind of like we had at Scout Day, right? The second one is if you're a metrics guy, then it's good for you.
Yeah, right? Absolutely.
If you're a good 60 time runner, if you're a high exit velo guy like Q, or if you have really good bat speed. Another pro for a showcase is a lot of times you get video, right? So most showcases, whether it's PBR, PG, they can get film for your recruiting profile.
Right.
Or your recruiting portfolio, kind of like we talked about last week, right? And then another pro is good competition. A lot of times there's going to be a lot of good players there, especially at those bigger ones, perfect game, PBR, area code, whatever the case may be, a lot of good competition. Now, the things you need to watch out for. So obviously they can be expensive. So both of these can be expensive though, whether it's a showcase or a college camp.
Exactly.
So that's another, reason why we're having this discussion. Which one? So they can be very expensive. A lot of times it's crowded, right? I mean, there could be hundreds of kids at one of those. And so if you're not a guy who's going to be really putting up good numbers, a lot of times you're going to get lost in the crowd. And another thing too is it's not always targeted for you. And what I mean by that is like coaches may not be from schools that fit you at one of those showcases. Right. And so like Division II schools or Division III or, a JUCO, they might be less likely to go to one of those big showcases with hundreds of kids there. Right. And so those are some things to watch out for those. But for me, in my opinion, at a showcase, if you're a numbers metrics guy, if you jump out on paper, those can be really good for you.
No, yeah, I definitely agree. I guess I'll do the flip side. So why going directly to a school could be beneficial. So if you know a school plays, that coach plays with a certain, they recruit a certain type of player and you fit that profile, then I think it's beneficial to go. If you do a little research, you're like, oh, a lot of guys who, play similar to me or have that same type of attitude that I play with go to this school, then I think it's really beneficial for you to go to their camp because they're just going to be like, oh, like, no, this guy's one of us. And he took the effort to come to our camp. They're going to be interested in you right off the bat there. But you have to kind of do some research. So I think going specifically to camps on campus requires just a little bit more research, but they can be very effective if you go to a place where you think you can, fit in and that, echoes that same attitude that you play with. So it's a little bit of a higher risk because you're kind of risking like, am I just going to be, another camper, or do I have the opportunity to really engage? Because sometimes it doesn't even matter if you perform well at the camp or not, right? Because if you're not, the type of player that they're looking for, then it doesn't matter, right? You went to the camp, you got some reps. Okay, cool. Whereas a showcase, like you said, it's kind of like fishing where like there's multiple fish and you draw your net and you're bound to get fish, right? You're probably better with the fishing analogy, like, right? But
yeah, leave those to me.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that to you. I'm gonna leave that to you. But I think you get what I'm saying. So yeah, that's essentially what I'm saying is like, you just got to do more research.
A lot of good stuff there. Yeah, the research is super important. Here's my list of pros for the college camps. The pros are you get direct access to that coaching staff.
Right.
And college camps are best for targeting specific schools that you're truly, really interested in and that you're truly, capable of playing at, right? Another thing is you get intentional exposure. And what I mean by that is either they invited you or you reached out to them to get the information. And one of the biggest things for these college campus camps is make sure their coaches know who you are. When you're at a PBR showcase, you're just one of 300 guys maybe, right? But if you're at a college camp, they might have 20, 30, 40, 50 kids there. And a lot of times you can have that email correspondence with their staff before you ever go. And by the time you leave, make sure they know who you are and how interested you are in playing for them. And so that's a big one. And what it is it's an opportunity to build relationships. When you go to that PBR showcase or a PG showcase, you can't build relationships with anybody.
Right.
You're like, hey, you get 5 swings, next guy, let's go. That's it. Like, and you run your 60, you do your infield, your velo stuff, and that's it.
And a lot of times the coaches are generally watching from afar.
Right.
Like they're generally, unless they, go out of their way to talk to a specific player, you're generally just not going to get the opportunity to speak with them one-on-one.
Right. And that's another thing, quick side note is that's what I love about our scout day too, is when I get those college coaches, I'm like, hey, we want you guys to talk to our guys, players. Do you have any questions? Come up here and talk to these guys.
Right.
That's a great way to kind of build those relationships. And that's what happened for 5 or 6 of our guys last year, the 2025 guys who ended up signing and playing, especially at our fall scout day. That's when we had like 14 different schools there for whatever reason. I had tons of coaches who were able to come and you could see the impact of it because so many guys got on their radar, got offers, got on campus. And then like you said, the last note I have on my list is you get to see their culture. And that's kind of what you were talking about with what type of guys they bring in. So when you get on campus, you meet their staff, it helps you know if the program is truly a good fit for you.
Yeah. No, and I'm telling you, like, that's like the biggest thing because I saw so many guys, not just at my school, but at different schools end up, bouncing from school to school or, go into what they perceived was their dream school and then saying like, no, that wasn't what I expected. It's because sometimes you get those, rose-colored glasses and everything looks good, but then you didn't really understand what you were walking into.
Right.
Whereas, if you did a little bit more research, you'd been like, no, maybe I should have chose somewhere where that was a better fit. So
Yeah. And then a couple things too, the ones to watch out for those, just because I have to go through it. Just,
right. No, yeah,
you're
good.
I
You're
leave
good.
out the cons,
Yeah.
but limited reach. Obviously, the only coaches there are from that school. So it's, you're kind of one bullet in the chamber, if you will. And then the last one too is some of these camps are just fundraisers, right? And same thing with some of the PBR stuff. Like if you're a kid who is terrible metrics wise and you're slow, you move slow, you don't have good back speed, you're just giving PBR your money for no reason, right? And one thing you have to do for these college camps is try to determine what schools use them just as fundraisers and what schools really kind of actually recruit from these.
Right.
And, I like to think a lot of them, if you go and do well at a college camp.
It's like, okay.
Yeah, that's what happened to me. I'll tell my quick 10-second story. I played at Georgia State for 4 years, and Cam, my brother, ended up going there as well. But I got seen by their coach playing in a tournament. And then he reached out and got my contact from my coach, like I do for our guys. I give our rosters out, right?
Right.
And he said, hey, I'd like to invite you to a camp. I was like, I don't even know where your field is, buddy. But I went to the camp. I balled out. I hit 2 triples, stole 3 bags. They took me in the locker room after the camp and offered me. Now, I was like, let's do it. And that's why I played for 4 years. I had a great career, loved every second of it. And so those camps, like I tell that story, like that's what happened to me. I went to the camp, balled out. I remember the assistant coach, and now he's the hitting coach at Mercer. So I still know Stu very well. But he brought me out to the camp. He's like, hey, I brought you here for a reason. Like our head coach is watching. Like, show me something.
Right.
And I did. And the rest is history. And so that's how it can happen. I'm a testament to that. And a quick, another 30-second summary, good strategy that I think works well is when you're an underclass guy, as you're developing the skill, the explosiveness, the strength to put together good metrics, that's a good time to go to these initial camps, the college camps, and build relationships. After that, if you're actually a guy who can jump out on paper, run a fast 60, throw 90 from the outfield, 99 plus exit velo, right? Q's a great example of that. Go to the bigger showcases because you can get your name on the top of the leaderboard. But if you're not that guy, you're just better off going to college camps.
No, absolutely.
So that's my thought. That's how I answer that question. Obviously, every single camp is a different answer, and they're not. You can't put them all in one group. You got to do your own research and do what's best. But if you want broad exposure, go to a showcase. But if you want to be recruited by a specific program, go to their camp. And so that's my last thought on that. Hopefully that was helpful for the few folks we got listening still.
Yeah, perfect. Yep. Next segment, we're going to Q&A. Both Quentin said they loved the All-Star unis, said they were fire, and
Got some good ones this year.
love the shirt. Yeah, I like them as well. So yeah, that was, I guess, the first part of our Q&A. So if y'all have any questions, make sure you leave them down in the comments as we are about to wrap up. I think I know what I did wrong for the rankings earlier. So I think we have the ability to flash up the official rankings. So these are the leaders in profit.
Game begin.